Hey guys, how's it going? So in today's video, I'm gonna be talking about how, it's kind of personal, but how it's very difficult to become a millionaire, and it's not easy at all. You cannot work your way to becoming a millionaire, and like in Canada, it's like literally impossible. And I'll explain in this video. You need to basically do it through business or stock market investing, and not a lot of people are willing to do that. So what I mean, I've been working at nights, and I've come to the realization that what I have is something really special, and I should be really careful if unless I want to continue to work at night and be forced to work hard at night and destroy my life. I should be really careful with my money and my investments. So yeah. But what I want to get to is, okay, so Superstore pays me about $28 an hour working at nights. I get an average about 30 hours, so that is about $840 per week. And then if I times that out by 4 weeks, that's about $3,360. Of course, this is not including taxes and everything. So I'm thinking of tax. I don't know the exact amount of tax I get taxed, but my assumption is I get taxed about $600 per month. So I minus that about 600. That leaves me about with $2,760. Right now, my expenses per month is about between, I would think, about $500 to $1,000, depending on the month, depending on the expenses. Some month I might go a little bit more crazy, but when I work, I actually spend less than when I don't work, because I'm spending most of my time working. So I don't go out as much. I don't, use my money as much. I smoke less weed because I'm at work. So I actually save a lot more money long term, because I spend most of my time working and sleeping, and really don't have time to go out and spend my money and smoke a lot of weed. So I actually save more money when I am working than when I'm not working. But regardless, with my rent and my food and everything, all my expenses, I spend about between 1,500. I think it's about $1,500 a month. That's me. I'm a cheap ass. It can go as high as about $2,000 a month, depending on the month. Back in the day when I was a really cheap ass, my expense was probably $800 a month or less than that, maybe like $700. I saved literally almost all my money, spent very little, and I got lucky and I didn't really pay rent. But now I am paying rent, but before I kind of didn't. So my expenses were low. I think my expenses were like $500 a month. I was working 7 days a week, and I was saving all of it, and I only spent about $500. But regardless, it's still very, very tough. You have to work very hard. You have to save. You have to be frugal, and you have to invest it, because you can't get rich off of saving. It's literally impossible. So let's just say I minus this about $1,500 a month. That's about $1,260. You times that by 12, I make $15,000 a year. That is nothing. That's not a lot of money. But if you invest it right, it could be a lot of money. So it all depends on your mentality, finding a good company to invest in. But yeah, it's difficult, because you times that out by 20 years. That's only $300,000. You have to save for 20 years for $300,000. If you invested $300,000 and get lucky, you could become a millionaire. But man, working for 20 years, by the time you're 18, you work 20 years, you'll be 48, almost 50. At that age, it's like, ooh, I'm rich. Like, does it matter? Like, being rich in your 30s and 40s is when, I think, like, in your 30s, matter. Your 20s is probably even better, but 30s, it's pretty good. I'm in my 30s and I'm a millionaire, and I'm after working at nights, I'm grateful for becoming a millionaire, and it is very, very difficult, and I have some proof. In Canada, there's only 1.3 million millionaires. So that's not a lot. There's a population of about 36 million in Canada, so 1.3 million divided by 36 million. This is rough estimate. That's about a 3.6% of Canadians are millionaires or billionaires, whatever I guess you want to determine, but still, 1.3 million millionaires, that's not very much considering how much of there is in the population. So being a millionaire is very, very tough. It's not easy at all. In the US, there's about 11 million millionaires. So if you take 11 million, you divide that by a US population of 327 million. Oh, okay, oops. Divided by 327 million. We're talking about even less than Canada, 3.3%. That's still a very small chunk of the population that is wealthy, or at least have $1 million. Wealth is all determined on the person. Some people might think $100,000 I'm rich. Some people might think $1 million I'm rich, and then some people might think that unless I have more than 10 million I'm rich. On billionaires, probably I don't even know how billionaires think. What happened if a billionaire lost like half his money? Would he still think he's wealthy? I think so, but probably be sad about losing $500 million. So there's another example I want to give. So I talked to a pharmacist, and he makes about $120,000 Canadian a month, right? I would think he would take home like $7,000 or $6,000. Nope, he takes home $5,000 a month for making $120,000. $5,000 a month. Times 12. That's only $60,000. But then there's also expenses. So let's say if he was kind of a cheap ass, and saved most of it and only spent like $2,000 on his expenses, so $3,000 a month times 12 months, that's about $36,000 a year. Times that by 12, that's $36,000 a year. Times that by 20, that's about $720,000 a year. If he can manage to save $3,000 a month, he would save about $7,200, $720,000 in 20 years. That's still pretty good, but you have to work for 20 years, and he could probably do it. He can probably save to $1 million by the time he retires, but he still has to work for the rest of his life. So it's still very, very difficult to become a millionaire, even if you have a high paying job, and this guy does have a high paying job. So now I want to talk about AMD. This is how I got rich. I took a big gamble when AMD was around. So I invested into AMD in 2013 or 2012, around $2.50. I didn't totally have about 50,000 shares at that time. I had about 40,000 shares, but around this time I added more to my position, and I ended up investing about 50,000 shares. I didn't have all my money into AMD because I didn't want to I wanted to make sure I had some money. My process was, you know, if I can't get rich off AMD, then I mean, if let's say if I lose all my, my thought was, if AMD went bankrupt and I lose all my money, so what? I just ended up with everybody else, struggling, you know, working and struggling, and you know, maybe I'll just take a mortgage and work for the rest of my life. But if AMD went up to $7, $8, $9, $10, you know, I would be wealthy. I would not be wealthy, but I would have a lot of money. It would make my life a lot easier. So, you know, that's why I invested so heavily into AMD, because I thought AMD could make me wealthy in the future. So I took all the money I had in my well, not all my money, about 75% of my money, put it into AMD. So let's just say, I don't know the exact amount I invested into AMD, but let's say it was $2.50. You know, you times that by 50,000 shares. You know, that is 125,000 shares. I mean, 125,000 US dollars. I had about $200,000, maybe less than 200,000, maybe like a little less than 200,000, but I invested about almost more than half of my money into AMD because I wanted to get rich, and it did pay off. It paid off big time because AMD shot all the way up, and I made a ton of money, and then I used that fortune to diversify into business, but you know, I went into VR, and it, you know, after, you know, all the experiment, I realized that it was a waste of time and waste of money. So and then my friend told me about Aurora Cannabis. You know, this is the New York Stock Exchange So my friend told me about Aurora Cannabis. You know, I found Aurora around December 2016. I think it was like $2.37 when I found it. $1.77 US when I found Aurora Cannabis. I knew that Aurora was risky because, you know what, Aurora used to be 50 or 40 cents, but you know, I did a lot of research, and I figured that, you know, Aurora could like double my money. My original plan was have about 200,000 shares, and if the stock went to $5, I would make $1 million. I did not expect the stock to go all the way up to $14. You know, that was pure luck. I'm not saying that wasn't. You know, I don't understand why that happened. I think billionaires just came in and decided to pump up Aurora stock, giving them the opportunity to become a global player by, you know, buying out CanaMed and Metroleaf and all that. So that's what I think happened ultimately. Really super rich investors helped Aurora become the number one company. Well, not number one, but the number 2 company in Canada. If it wasn't for these rich investors, I don't think Aurora would become the second biggest company without acquiring out CanaMed and Metroleaf. I don't think Aurora would be the second biggest company in Canada. So I got lucky on that. You know, I lost out. I could have escaped with $3 million. Big hold that money all the way down to $6. I did sell off a little bit here. No, and then begged hold it all the way down to $6.50. It went all the way back to $13.71. I thought Coke was gonna buy out Aurora. I begged hold it all the way down to $6.76. And I thought the market was gonna crash. I sold out my Aurora stock around about $7 to $8, and you know, the stock skyrocketed again, and you know, I lost out again on a big opportunity. But you know, that's life. I don't know. Aurora could crash back down to $6-7. I could do an all in again. I do believe in Aurora. I do believe in the company. I think the company is fundamentally strong, but it is risky in a sense, because there is still a possibility Aurora may go bankrupt, but still. Anyways, that's it to my video. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this content. Give me a thumbs up. It helps my channel grow. Subscribe for future updates, and have a great day. Bye.